Our adult children are estranged from each other. Who do we appoint as executor to our wills? All right, so my first piece of advice is not one over the other. That's going to irreparably, or that has a strong potential to irreparably damage their already estranged relationship. When you choose one over the other, so the problem is that an executor in this situation where there's money, family, and death involved is a very high stress, very emotional, and potentially dramatic situation. When you give one family member over the others, or over the others, more control, more access to information, and a seemingly honored role, although it's not, as we'll talk about, it'll cause a lot of friction and resentment between those different family members. So you want to avoid choosing one over the other, okay? For the same reasons, you don't want to do two. You don't want to make them co-executors. The reason you wouldn't want to do that, well, it doesn't specify it's only two, so it could be 3 or 4 children who are all estranged from each other. And the saying goes, what is it? How too many cooks in the kitchen spoils the soup. Similarly, when you have more than one executor, there are some limited cases where it makes sense. This really isn't one of them. You're just going to have a executorship or an estate proceeding, a probate, that's going to take forever, because when you have folks who don't get along, who have to agree on every decision in the estate, I'm sure you can imagine that that'll be an extremely slow and painful process. So what do you do instead? You don't choose one over the other, and you don't make them joint executors. Choose an independent executor, all right? That way you have somebody who they can basically both hate instead of each other, right? But somebody who will get the job done. So who can fill this job for you? Who can be an independent executor? Well, you might want to choose another. One common thought is to choose an independent family member, let's say an aunt, an uncle, or a cousin. But the problem with that is invariably with family dynamics, look, I mean, it's just true. We all favor one family member over another. We all have favorites. So, if Uncle Bob is the one who you choose as your independent executor, everyone's going to kind of know, or at least feel like Bob kind of favors one of those estranged children over the other. And that's going to cause the same rifts, resentment, and struggles as we talked about before if you chose one child over the other. Just because it's baked into any family dynamic, even towards the extended family. Some folks just know each other better, have better relationships, and so on. So if you want to go truly independent, get a professional. Get an attorney, get a professional executor such as myself, accountant, financial advisor, somebody who's completely basically doesn't care, doesn't know either of these estranged kids, and is just there to get the job done. The reason I mention attorneys, professional executors myself, there are trust companies that do this, banks even, is because they're built out. They have experience administering estates, whereas CPAs, financial advisors, other friends or neighbors, sure, they may be independent, but the other side of this coin is you want somebody who knows what they're doing and is going to be able to do a good job, because this is a particularly dicey situation where you have heirs who don't get along. You want it to be done well, professionally, and by an experienced person. Right? I answer this question based on my many, many years of experience as a professional attorney, a professional executor, and a professional New York probate attorney for hundreds of estates, and I hope you find this helpful. Take care.